Walemaji hoi! Walemaji hoi! Asanteni sana. Nina furaha tele kupata fursa kukutana na walemaji hapa katika Nyayo Stadium. Nilipata mwaliko na nikasema tulikuwa tunafutafutana. Mlikuwa mnataka kuniona na mimi vile nilikuwa nataka kuwaona. Hayawi. Sasa leo tumekutana. Sasa niko na maneno nataka kusema kwa jumla ili watu wengine vile wasikie. Sababu baadaye mimi nitakuja kumaliza na mambo mengine. Sawa? I stand before you here today, a very proud son of Kenya, a liberation fighter and a servant of the people for the last 50 years. Today, I boldly declare that I am neither repentant nor regretful for my sincere experience in the fight for liberated Kenya. Sorry. This is not what I'm supposed to talk to you about. Let me present my understanding of the overall picture. I have listened very carefully to what has been said by those who have spoken on your behalf, and I want to respond to some of the issues that you have said. People living with disabilities comprise at least 15% of the world's population, or roughly about 1 billion people. Up to 80% of these people live in developing countries, and most of them are poor. Here in Kenya, there are officially registered around 900,000 people living with disabilities. Currently, only 47,000 of them receive support from the state in the form of cash transfer. The rest are on their own. These statistics alone tell us that we cannot ignore the people living with disabilities. I am aware that while people with disabilities may largely be left on their own, their plight comes with a huge cost for the country. The International Labour Organization estimates that excluding people with disabilities from the economy can rob countries of as much as 7% of their gross domestic product. I am aware that as things stand today, you face discrimination and exclusion on a daily basis. You face pervasive exclusion from development programs and funds. You are discriminated from nearly all areas of economic, political, social, civil, and cultural life, employment, education, and healthcare. You are underrepresented in decision-making and political participation. I view it as our responsibility as a country to ensure that the inclusion of all people so that no one is left behind in the development process. And people with disabilities are people like everyone else. I feel that as a leader, I have a duty and a responsibility to ensure, promote, and protect the human rights of persons with disabilities as a matter of justice and investment in our common future. As a presidential candidate, I believe we will not realize our development goals without inclusion of people living with disabilities. I therefore believe it is important that men, women, and children living with disabilities are included as a target group in the National Development Roadmap. As a country, We need to stop treating people with disabilities as objects of pity and welfare assistance and begin treating them as rights bearers. My proposal is that for a start, we need to put all people with disabilities on some kind of support depending on their needs. As I said at the beginning, out of the 900,000 registered people with disabilities, only 47,000 currently get financial support. That alone says a lot about our country and its attitude towards the disadvantaged. As a president, I will review the PWD Act of 2003 to increase the employment of PWDs in public institutions from the current 5% to 10%. President Raila Odinga will push the government to offer free education to all PWDs in public schools, colleges, and universities. President Raila Odinga will push for a permanent tax and pay exemption to all PWDs in employment instead of the current exemption, which is done every 3 years. President Raila Odinga will increase access of PWDs to government procurement opportunities, AGPO. I will amend the PWD Act 2003 to give all PWDs an opportunity to enjoy economic rights enshrined in the Constitution. I will enhance Disability Fund to give all PWDs effective social protection. I will split it into two, giving those who can do business capital to do so, and giving safety net to those who are completely unable to engage in any form of business or activities. I will strengthen all institutions offering support to PWDs, such as Kenya Institute of Special Education, KISE, and the National Council for Persons with Disability, among others. I will ensure inclusion of PWDs in boards, committees, and councils in all public institutions, such as schools, universities, colleges, parastatals, and other government agencies. I will zero-rate assistive devices that are used by PWDs to enhance and support their mobility, sight, performance, activities, recreation, and full enjoyment of life. The biggest challenge that people living with disabilities face is stigma and discrimination, which is not only the result in exclusion, but also violence and psychological problems. I will invest in public awareness and creation of a tolerant society that respects people with disabilities. As president, I will instigate reforms that will ensure anti-discrimination protections and obligations to provide reasonable accommodations, access, employment, and social supports. As a forward-looking leader, I will want to give this country a comprehensive plan for lifelong care for people with disabilities. This will provide the basis to improve health, rehabilitation, and creation of equal opportunities for social protection for persons with disabilities. I will particularly ensure we develop a master plan for intellectual disabilities for intellectual disabilities and autism spectrum disorder, because these disabilities require specialized social support, and they start early in children's lives and continue as they grow. If parents of disabled children are to exclusively assume all responsibility for child rearing, as is the case today, they will be forced into a state of poverty. Such parents are not able to maintain stable jobs. They are perpetually restless due to the inability to escape from their lifelong duties. You have seen or read about extreme circumstances where parents are driven to murder their own disabled children and to commit suicide themselves. These parents, as well as their disabled children, require our support before the extremes happen. As President, I will implement a plan that will help the country provide health, medical, rehabilitative, special education, and special welfare services according to the needs of the affected individuals. My plan will also aim to reduce parental pressure and promote targeted social interventions and promote self-reliance of persons with disabilities. I appeal for your support so that together we can realize these goals. Si nimesema? Nimesema sijasema? Nimesema sijasema? Nimesema ya kwamba disability is not inability. And the people who are disabled have a very important role to play in our society. And that they should be assisted and enabled to be able to perform to their abilities. This we will do as a matter of course. We will work together with people with disabilities because there is a big potential, and we are determined to ensure that each and every Kenyan is given an opportunity to make a contribution to the development of our country. When I was Minister for Roads and Public Works, I gave an order that all public buildings in our country must be user-friendly to people with disabilities. And that's why you see we started putting ramps in some of those public buildings. And the new ones which are being constructed must be totally user-friendly so that you can be able, even if you're disabled, to go to any part of those buildings without much support generally. We will work to include people with disabilities in the society so that there's no stigma, there's no discrimination. And we start now. Yesterday, I launched the teams, the presidential campaign teams. There were teams, regional teams, and then there were also teams which were going to target women, teams for the youth, and also the team for maendeleo ya wanawake. Today I've formed another team for the Juakali sector. And now here I'm also declaring another team for people with disabilities. So we will constitute a team for people with disabilities which will go around the country with us as we move and trying to talk to the people of Kenya. What we are going through is a liberation of our country, a beginning of the third and final liberation of our country, Kenya. Na tutatembea pamoja na walemavu. Walemavu hoye! Walemavu hoye! Azimio hoye! Azimio! 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 Asante sana. Asante sana.